not having the things that I normally am used to, having to use my own resources to make them, find them, buy them. So thank you so much for tuning in. Today I want to talk to you about why I decided to move and stay in a small town in Colombia. I just want to talk about like a few things that I really love about living in this small town and kind of why I decided to stay here. Well, first of all, I got a boyfriend, which if you know me, that is not a reason to stay anywhere. To be honest, I just decided I want to settle, I want to stay somewhere for an extended period of time. I want to see if I can live in one place. And I do want to live in a small town. So I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a very small town, less than 2,000 people in Kentucky. My whole life I've kind of lived in small towns until I became an adult, and then I moved to Boston, and I moved to LA, and I kind of just stayed. So when you're living in a city, you do not realize how toxic and how taxing it is on your mind until you move out of that city. Now that I do not live in the city, whenever I go to Medellin, even if it's for a day, my brain, I can only stay for one day. I was planning on staying in Medellin for like 3 or 4 days. I was there and I was like, what am I doing here? And the only thing to do is go eat, sit in a coffee shop, eat. I could do some tourist stuff, but I'm working. I have class. I have like a full packed schedule every single day, so I can either sit in the hostel or in a coffee shop and do my work, or I could just come home and do my work here. And living in a small town is way more peaceful. It is just, and for me, I'm like the resident foreigner, I think, or the newest resident foreigner. There's another group of foreigners who live here, but I think I'm like the newest one. But I just like being able to go into the town and everyone is super friendly. Everyone talks to me. There's this like shop that I always buy popsicles. I always get like these green lime like water. I don't know, but they're so good. They're just like these water popsicles. It's just like sugar, lime, frozen, whatever. They're amazing. And they're super cheap. It's like 30 cents. So I always go to the same shop, and today the guy, and I also like because I can practice my Spanish because no one in the small town speaks English. And I'm telling you, there's like very rare that you're gonna meet someone who speaks English. So they speak to me in Spanish. So the guy already knows what I want. He has like a 5-minute conversation with me. And if you don't know Colombians, they like to talk. So that's one of the reasons I came to Colombia, is because when you're learning Spanish in Colombia, it's perfect because everybody will talk to you. I am like very light haired. I have light eyes. I look like a foreigner, obviously. So everyone wants to know about me. So I love that everybody talks to me. And it gives me a chance to practice my Spanish. And then there's like these group of kids that roll by on their bicycles and they are like, hi, hello. And they talk to me in Spanish, but yet they also like ask me, oh, what is perro in English? What is it dog? And they're like, they practice the little bit of English they know, so then I can practice my English with them. And it's just so much easier. Hey. Eris. When she's with me alone, she's so overprotective. She's been barking at everybody. So I like that everybody in town kind of knows me. Everyone knows they can talk to me in Spanish, and they talk to me very slowly. And they always ask me questions, so I get a chance to practice my Spanish. So living in a small town is great because when you're in Medellin, no one talks to you. The only people who talk to me were the people at the hostel. That was it. Other than that, no one will talk to you unless you're at a restaurant and they're waiting on you. Also, when you're in the specific area that I was in Medellin, it's full of expats. It's full of tourists, which is great. If you're a tourist, I think it's great. Go there. It's an easy transition into Colombia to go to those kind of areas. However, I live here. I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of foreigners. I chose to come to a small town because there aren't a bunch of foreigners around. The only foreigners are the local Spanish school, and I rarely see those people, only if I decide to go on like an adventure with them during the day. And I also love that everything in this town is just so convenient. Like, I live close to town, I walk everywhere, and all this land, this waterfalls and lakes are within like 5 minutes of me, maybe 10. And everywhere I go, it's just easy. I can buy fruits and vegetables, I can buy whatever I need. I mean, I can't get everything I need. I'm gonna do a whole video about things that you can't get in a small town and the disadvantages of a small town, but this is gonna be the advantages of living in a small town. Everybody knows you, everybody talks to you. I get to practice my Spanish, and it's when you live in a small town in Colombia, there's less violence, there's less crime. This is almost like when you live in a small town in the US. It's just, life is more simple. Whenever I go to the city and I have like my clothes on, I'm not gonna lie, I wear the same thing every other day. I look the exact same. I don't put makeup on, I don't do my hair, but I don't feel the need that I have to dress up. I don't feel the need that I have to impress anybody if I want to go out. I can just go out as I am. I feel more content within myself to be able to just be who I am. And this is who I am. And when I go to the city, there's all this external pressure because everyone's getting dressed up, go to the clubs or go to some fancy restaurant. That's just not the life I want. I had it for 15 years living in California. I lived in Boston. I've done the city thing. I've done the go out and be fancy. And what really makes me feel more at peace and a more productive living style is living with nature, living here. Living where I can walk to and there's no one around me. If you've been watching my videos, I've been filming in nature because there is no one here. It is so much more peaceful. It's quiet. When I was in the city, I didn't sleep. There were so many cars. It was just crazy. It's just the energy of a city. I love the energy of a city for a very short period of time. I lived in the city long enough. I think living in a city also contributed to a lot of my burnout that I had in the past. And now that I'm here, and yeah, I do get stressed about certain things. There are certain things I don't like. And I'm not saying living in the country is perfect. I'm not saying it's for everybody. But for this point in my life, and I don't want to live I want to live further out. If you watch the video, I'm kind of looking for an off-grid farm. Yeah, and I can take the dog out for a walk. And during the day, I even walk down to the local store. It's just this little tienda. I get soda water. She comes with me. I don't have to put her on a leash. It's just a more peaceful, relaxing environment living in a small town. And it's funny because when I was living in LA, I thought, how could I ever live in a small town? I have everything I need at my fingertips right here. And also that is kind of why I live in a small town. This is also kind of a reason why I moved to Colombia. I got sick of all the consumerism, all the capitalism, and everyone just buys and consumes so much stuff. When I'm living here in this small town, we do not have every single thing that we need. So we have to make it, or we have to find a way to do it. Like I went to Medellin because I want to make kombucha. I want to make kimchi. So I went to buy the things to make it. I bought kombucha because you have to make kombucha with kombucha. But I bought the stuff to make kimchi. I want to learn how to be more self-sufficient. And when you're living in a big city and you have everything at your fingertips, it does not that conductive. You get lazy. I get lazy. And I'm like, oh, why? When I can go walk to the store. But if I'm here, and I've been learning to make bread, I've been planting my garden, and I'm fighting with the ants, and I hate them because they're eating my garden. But it is like learning life skills. I watched this movie last night called Land. It's really good. It's on HBO. It's about this woman who, her family, something horrible happens to them. I don't want to ruin it. Something horrible happens to them. She decides to buy a farm and live off the land. And this is not easy. But that was a choice that she made. And she didn't want to be around people. I kind of feel like that. I'm in a small town, and I obviously am not living off the land. I have stores, I buy things, but I don't have everything that I'm used to having. So it's almost like one step closer to what I actually truly want, to be more self-sufficient. And I want to have some of the things that I like, but I want to learn how to make the things that I like. I don't want to have to rely on stores because I don't know what's going on with the world right now, but it ain't good, and there's a lot of craziness happening, and I really think that learning to be more self-sufficient and getting back to nature is going to be crucial in the next few years. So taking time to teach myself how to be okay without going to the store, without having to do my face and makeup, or going out to dinner without having to put on my best outfit, or it is just being who I am. It is being more relaxed. It is a more relaxing environment. So I think living in the city has its perks, but living in the country has, for me, way more. And ever since I moved I was living in Buenos Aires for about 6 months, and ever since I've left the city, I have no desire to go back. Every time I'm in a city, I get anxious, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be around everyone buying everything. I don't want to be around everybody just spending money on useless crap. I don't want to be around people who aren't, they're just like robots. They're like zombies. There's so many people who are just so consumed with living the 9 to 5, and that's fine if that's what you want, but you're so consumed with having on this hamster wheel. I think truly the only way to get off the hamster wheel is if you get out of the city, because the city is a place that requires you to stay on the hamster wheel. Even if maybe you're a digital nomad, but you're living in Medellin, I don't see that as much different than living in LA, because you still, I mean, like, yeah, I work a lot, but I have the flexibility to come here to this. If I'm working and living in Medellin, I don't know, I have to worry about if I go to a park by myself, if I'm gonna get robbed or if I'm gonna get jumped. I have to worry about where I'm going at night, and it's just, you just have to worry a lot more. And yeah, I could have moved to a small town in the US, but I don't want to live in the US. I have no desire to be in the US at all. And especially with what's going on, it's crazy. So yeah, small town living is very, very special. It is, I don't know, whenever, like I said, I was in the city for like less than 36 hours. I was planning on staying, and I just got up in the morning and I was like, there's no way I'm staying here. I have too much to do. I have too much work to do. I like having a home. I like having a stable routine in my life. That's slowly getting a routine, but in kind of figuring out what I want to do with my life, because I don't even know what I'm going to do with my life. I mean, right now I'm on this walk with this dog who's been barking at everybody, protecting me. She's my little security dog. See? And yeah, I'm just going to go for chill and listen to my book and kind of relax and take the stress away from, like, the 2 days I was in the city, the day and a half I was in the city. Like, taking a taxi, getting on the subway, I don't know, just all these things that are like used to be so normal to me are now like, oh my god, the thought of being around all those people. And I love being here because there's not very many people. There's only crazy on the weekends, and they're all tourists, but they're all Colombian tourists, and they're all nice, they're all friendly, they all talk to me in Spanish, and I can practice. So it's just like kind of a few of the reasons that that I chose to stay in this small town. Obviously, I have a boyfriend, but like I said, that is not a determining factor in my life. That is a bonus to my life. That will never, again, rule how I live and how I do things, because in the past I've let relationships rule how I do things, but that is not my life anymore. So I chose to stay here because I love living in the country. And we'll see, we might not stay in this small town. I love this small town, but I wouldn't mind being in a small town that's not as hot. It's very hot here. I don't know, we'll see what happens in the future, and maybe I'll just small town hop eventually and figure out where I want to buy land and how I can get a visa longer than a year. After my year is up, we'll see what happens. But I don't know, after last year I don't want to plan anything, because you never know what's going to happen in the world. So as of right now, I'm very content living in my small town, not having the things that I normally am used to, having to use my own resources to make them, find them, buy them, make them or find them, or figure out ways to get a hold of them, and just kind of chill out and live a different, unique life. So thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and she's gonna bark at somebody now. What? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? Oh, you're such a good girl. Muy bien. She's my little seguridad. Seguridad perro. ¿Qué pasa, Aries? ¿Qué pasa? Mira, mira. Thank you.